A military court in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has sentenced 4 government soldiers to life in prison for crimes including rape and looting. Witnesses say the soldiers looted homes and raped women while retreating from rebel forces. Government and rebel soldiers have clashed repeatedly in eastern DRC, and with rebels now controlling an area north of Goma, this mayhem may well continue. Women and children often are the most vulnerable victims to the violence in eastern Congo. Harriet Ngalia recently participated in a demonstration in Goma against atrocities blamed on government forces.
We are getting raped, and we are getting raped by army or police forces. This is why we are condemning this issue of raping. It has to end, and we are ready as women to fight and get this stopped.
The few hospitals and clinics in the conflict areas are flooded with victims of all ages. Apart from physical injuries they sustain, many are left traumatized. Some get counseling, but many have to live with their pain. Junissa Mulamba recalls fleeing for her life.
We ran from the village because of the war, and then there were the Mai Mai who came, and what they did, they took our husbands and tied them with ropes and started doing bad things to us, and our husbands were looking.
Many rape victims also are left with lifelong reminders of the violence they suffered, sometimes ostracized by their communities. Ayedeji Ajeoba is a spokesman for ActionAid, an ungovernmental agency that helps victims of the conflict in Congo.
Been the victims of rape. Some women have had to conceive children. They were raped and they got pregnant, and they have had to conceive children that are called children of war in this war. And so this is why we think that enough is enough.
With no end to violence, many Congolese are left simply to plead for divine intervention. Vincent Makori, VOA News. Earlier, I spoke with Frank Nyakairwa, a Ugandan journalist and the winner of the 2008 Knight International Journalism Award for his reporting on human rights issues, among them the DRC conflict. I asked Frank for his assessment of the situation in Congo.
I think the situation in Congo is very disturbing, really disturbing, because you have the biggest UN presence, UN troop presence in the world. 17,000 in Congo, but they can't do anything. The war still continues. I think that's a very, very big problem, where people don't know what to do with a conflict where, people responsible for the 1994 Rwanda genocide are staying in a country and everyone knows they're there, and they're fighting with government forces. Government forces are allied with UN forces. They're fighting side by side. It's a whole murky situation.
As someone who's been reporting from there, of course, you may be aware of who else is involved. There have been, of course, accusations that other neighboring countries have been involved in this conflict. Is that the case up to today?
From the late 1990s up to early 2000s, we had countries that were directly involved. That's Rwanda and Uganda. But because of pressure, international pressure, all these countries retreated and denounced and announced openly that they were not involved in Congo. But I have to say that if you go there and investigate, you'll find that they have continued to have indirect presence, sometimes sending troops clandestine, and they control areas that are immediate from their border. And this continues to make the situation really bad. Some of them are basically geopolitical reasons. Others are simply maintaining networks of looting Congo's mineral wealth to continue going through, which I think should stop.
How can you describe the condition of the people in Congo in the conflict areas?
All I feel bad about mostly are the children. They don't know peace. All they have known is war, suffering, camps, death, shooting, guns around, blood, hunger, disease. That's the constant situation in Congo. And being in there as a journalist, you can't tell all the stories even in one day, not even in a week. There are so many personal stories that could move, decisions. It's a very, very sad situation where people have nothing to do. They have a government which is too far in Kinshasa to care for them, They have a national army that can loot, rape, and kill civilians. They did it last week in Goma, and they have the rebels who are fighting, mercilessly killing civilians.
The citizens are in the middle and they're victims of both the rebel groups and the government forces.
They are both the rebel group and the government forces and the UN. I don't know how, at the UN headquarters in New York, people see pictures of civilians stoning a UN compound. Civilians basically attacking UN soldiers who are sometimes in armored vehicles, but they don't care. To me, that's a very big failure, a sign of very, very big failure on the UN's part.
Because these people put their hopes on the UN, which represent the international community, to protect them. And they've witnessed atrocities committed against civilians by those soldiers.
Yet, the UN can't do anything.
Very sad to observe as a journalist working.
Well, it is very frustrating, I have to say, because in most cases around the world, in Europe, conflicts have, gone through periods where you see it improves. And as a journalist, I have great joy in reporting stories that are in transition. But the Congolese story is extremely boring because, just doesn't change. Same old killing, suffering, disease, hunger, death, exploitation, and all that.